So now moving into strategies. We talked about the challenges, opportunities. A lot of the strategies are really talking about the product aspect to an OTT service, but we can extrapolate in terms of marketing strategies and sales strategies. The most significant strategies and challenges, because challenges and strategies can be interplayed, is in obtaining content rights for multiple screens. And I want to talk about that in a second. Bandwidth caps from network providers is an issue because once you're running an OTT service, you can really bring up the amount of bandwidth and stress the bandwidth of a country through the introduction of an OTT service, and that has been played out in many countries at the moment. The challenge of the fact that there is direct broadcast access. I'm already accessing over-the-air television. Why do I need an OTT service and pay for that when I'm getting television for free? Or there is user-generated content on YouTube, so why should I pay for an OTT service when one already exists? Okay? And the final challenge is in poor vendor solutions, and I think that is more of a reflection of how young this industry is in OTT, in being able to put together end-to-end OTT platforms. And thankfully we're in a position where we've been building our OTT platform for 15 years, and we have that experience. In terms of addressing the first one that I talked about, obtaining rights content for multiple screens, it's interesting to note that American premium content is owned by 9 majors, and it's worth $45 billion per year. OTT providers that want to have a service in their market need to license some of that premium content if they want. If they want Hollywood content on their platform in a remote country, have to license that content. Getting that content is one thing, and then getting that content in order to monetize it across multiple screens is a major challenge. In terms of awareness, this is a quote from ComScore. Brands using online video ads have seen anywhere from 20 to 40% higher incremental buying with online video. We've done a study as part of our market research, and we found that there are 25 million online retailers around the world. And even if 1% of them could use a video platform, an OTT platform, in order to help monetize their product, that's a huge business opportunity for us. Any given video in the Google Index has 50 times better chance of appearing on the first page of results compared to text. So again, relating to the use of video in order to promote products and how that even relates to search and discovery. Top technical issues to solve. So bandwidth limitations. It's hard to prove whether a provider is filtering OTT traffic or not, but limitations in bandwidth to offer OTT service is one of the major concerns according to the study. Quality of service and experience, whether it's the quality of service of the video and using adaptive bit rates in order to make sure that the video is streaming smoothly. A lot of these issues have actually been addressed, but implementing them on a global scale is sometimes a challenge. Delivery standards is a challenge, and I wouldn't say that it's because there aren't enough delivery standards, but maybe there are too many to handle from Apple, from Microsoft, from Adobe, and so on. So juggling on multiple devices, multi-screens, that type of delivery protocols that are needed to be supported is another challenge. Security, having a search and discovery engine, a quite robust one. Most people don't have the resources to write a search and discovery engine, which could take up to 2 years. And transcoding, I believe, is the lowest one, but I think the main issue is in terms of transcoding is really the time associated with transcoding large libraries. Top devices for OTT deployment. So the main focus right now in terms of product development is for tablets and support for PCs, and smartphones is really the top 3. Smart televisions is in place number 5. One of the issues with smart televisions is that each manufacturer has a different proprietary layer in terms of app development. If you're going through the browser of the smart television, then it's HTML5 typically, but if you're going native onto the television, then LG has a different version than Samsung, than Panasonic, and so on, and that causes a big issue from a development perspective. One of the biggest issues right now from a standardization perspective is having the smart TV manufacturers come together and agree on a development platform. And I think that when you look at products like the Chromecast, it's just capitalizing on what the television industry manufacturers are not doing in terms of coming together and creating a common platform. So Chromecast is doing quite well because you hook it up to your HDMI port and you cast whatever you want onto your television, and it completely bypasses the limitations of a smart television. Next one is most important services for OTT. The usual suspect is video on demand. The second one, which is significantly lower but still in the top three, is catch-up television and time shifting. I would say that a lot of that second one is related to broadcasters that want to move to an online service, and they want to have the catch-up capabilities and have an internet library repository of content, whether it's news that has already been broadcasted and that their users, their subscribers can watch it at a later time through an OTT service. Live and linear is the third one. It also is a third consideration from an OTT perspective. A lot of OTT providers are seeing OTT services as stored content in a library that then gets served to their subscribers, and many OTT services aren't looking at it from a live content perspective. Okay, so that's one of the advantages that we have, is that since we come from a broadcast background, we look at entertainment from a live perspective as well as stored content, and having both in a single platform is quite valuable, and also talks to the capabilities that we have in Visual Unity Global. I've added to this slide what is the most important OTT service in the next 3 to 5 years, and you can see that video on demand is becoming less important but still number one. Catch-up TV and time shifting is slightly decreasing. Live and linear, as companies are becoming more versed in OTT, are going to be adding that more aggressively into their OTT services. And PVR functionality, whether it's network or local, is also becoming more important. The next one is the top technologies. So HTML5 is the by far number one technology for OTT. It brings responsive design onto multiple devices. Even though HTML5 is not expected to be finalized until 2022, it's being used already for at least 5 years in development. 4K is number two, and HEVC, which is H.265 encoding, is the third, which works together with 4K. The incumbent encoding protocol at the moment is H.264. It's used in Blu-ray, it's used in a lot of streaming technologies, and H.265 is expected to replace H.264 because it uses half the bandwidth, half the storage at the same quality. So once that becomes integrated into chipsets and so on, it's only been finalized last year, so now we're getting chipsets and encoding technologies allowing us to implement it, and it's a good timing for 4K technology, which is expected to come by the end of this decade as well. Top protocols: Apple's HTML live streaming is number one. Adobe's HTML dynamic streaming is number two. MPEG-Dash, which has been around for a while but hasn't yet kind of taken over, but is expected to take over, is considered to be a third one. Microsoft Smooth Streaming rounds out the top four in terms of delivery protocols. And top platforms, this relates to the slides that I was showing earlier in terms of the amount of devices that are using entertainment at the moment. Even though Apple dominates in terms of an entertainment platform for multiscreen, Android is considered to be even more important in terms of platforms to support, which is an interesting dynamic. Possibly it's because of the amount of Android devices that are out in the market today. I mean, it's a close second, 74%, 73%, it's almost the same, but obviously they're the top two platforms to support in terms of multi-screen for OTT. Next is security technologies. So Apple's HLS Enhanced and Basic in terms of security technologies. Adobe's in there, and Microsoft really in the top four. And then from digital rights management, there is consideration for supporting either many digital rights platforms in a single platform, Other companies are considering a single DRM for a single platform or parallel DRMs as well. And still there's some undecided as even the majority in this case. But DRM is definitely an interesting consideration, especially for those content owners that are requiring specific DRM technologies, or at least strong DRM technologies. So the final slide here is in the top business drivers: attracting new subscribers, really creating a footprint from an OTT perspective, increasing profitability. So once in conjunction with creating that footprint, how do we increase the average revenue per user, the ARPU? Especially when we look at some of the challenges of purchasing premium content and adding that to an OTT platform, as opposed to having, let's say, local content, which may be cheaper than Hollywood content. Retaining existing subscribers, so look at competing services that may be stealing subscribers away, or even free services, for example, that may be taking subscribers away. And even a small majority consider a driver to maybe lose money in some area of the business in order to generate profits in other areas where subscribers will be paying.